Chapter 5. 2 weeks before the ball, Ashe went along with Felix and Sylvain to the capital's clothier to try on suits for the celebration. He didn't plan on purchasing anything, but it was nice to spend the day out with his friends. Ashe had never been to a clothier. Was that just a fancy name for a tailor? Were they even the same thing? But Sylvain swore that this was the place to go. Seriously, I've tried to get Lawrence to move his shop to Gautier. This guy is a genius. Felix huffed. Yeah, and we all know you need all the help you can get. Ashe laughed while Sylvain raised a hand to his chest in mock hurt. Felix, you wound me. Shut up. The door to the shop jingled as they entered. Looking around, Ashe was overwhelmed by the number of styles and colors that adorned the mannequins and racks. In the center of the shop was a formal salon and dressing rooms, and further beyond that was a closed-off area, presumably the alterations department. I'll be with you in a moment, called a voice from the back. Sylvain and Felix began browsing the racks, while Ashe hung back and looked over their shoulders. If you see something you like, pull it. We can try it on, Sylvain encouraged. Ashe shook his head. I'm not even sure I know my size, honestly, he admitted. Celia usually takes care of all that. You've come to the right place, then. Ashe turned to see a tall man with purple hair as straight as the sewing pins on his wrist pincushion, dressed in a fitted and perfectly tailored suit similar to those around the shop. The man could have been a model. Why in the world would we go anywhere else, Lawrence? Sylvain asked with a playful trill. Lawrence rolled his eyes. Save it, Gautier. You know flattery won't get you anywhere with me. Sylvain shrugged. Can't blame a guy for trying. Anyways, follow me and we'll get started. Lawrence led the trio to a side of the main salon, assigning each of them a dressing room, writing their names on the doors. I hope you don't mind, but I've already pulled some styles for you two, he indicated to Sylvain and Felix, that I'm fairly certain you'll approve of. He turned to Ashe. Unfortunately, I don't know you at all compared to them, so we'll start from square one. Do you know if there's a certain style of formal wear you're more comfortable in? Ashe shook his head. No, like I said, our housemaid usually takes care of that. She picks everything out, does the alterations. I just have to put it on. Lawrence nodded. I see. If you're willing to leave it up to me, I have some ideas we can try on. See what you like and go from there. Sure, I guess. I'm in your care. The other man chuckled. Excellent. I think I know just the thing. As Lawrence flitted around the shop grabbing things for Ashe to try on, Felix emerged from his dressing room in a navy blue suit. This jacket's too big, he mumbled, and I don't like the color. Sylvain stepped out a moment later in a charcoal gray ensemble with black accents. His was more fitted than Felix's, and the dark colors contrasted nicely with his red hair. The three of them talked about the fits and colors, likes and dislikes in the styles, when Lawrence returned with garment bags draped over his arm and ushered Ashe into his dressing room. Try this one on first, he instructed, tapping the bag. It's a bit bold, but don't write it off too hastily. Alone in the dressing room, Ashe unzipped the bag, revealing a dark purple-colored suit. There was a slight sparkle in the jacket from small amethysts sewn into the fabric. Attached to the jacket was a satin sash that fell across his chest and hung just below his knees. He dressed and stepped back out into the main salon, careful not to trip on the pant legs, which were just a bit too long. Felix must have gone back to his own dressing room. Sylvain was standing on a pedestal, chatting with Lawrence, while the latter took measurements. Ashe took up a spot on another pedestal to get a good view of himself in the mirror. Wow, he whispered. Lawrence was right. The suit was definitely bolder than anything he'd worn before, but it looked perfect. Aside from minor hem alterations, the suit fit like a glove. I knew it, Lawrence said as Sylvain let out a low whistle. The color really complements your hair, and with a matching mask, your eyes will really pop. I should have one in the back. He disappeared to the back room. Ashe caught Sylvain's gaze in the mirror. What do you think? He asked with a shrug. Sylvain grinned. I told you Lawrence was best in the business. If I hadn't already told Felix he could be my date to the ball, I'd definitely ask you. Shut up, Sylvain. Felix sighed exasperatedly, emerging from the dressing room again. This time he was dressed in a classic black tuxedo, which seemed more agreeable over the navy blue suit. Okay, I'm replacing Felix. Ashe, would you like to go to the ball with me? Ashe laughed. Sure, Sylvain, but you're probably better off going with Felix. I'm not much of a dancer. In fact, I'm not even sure I'll be going. What do you mean? Sylvain whined. It's going to be the biggest party of our lives. You have to be there. Ashe shrugged. Parties aren't really my thing, especially formal parties. I'm never sure if I'm acting correctly or saying the right things. You're overthinking it, Felix said as he messed with his bow tie. This isn't strictly a political event. It's Dimitri's birthday. Sure, the press will be there, for the nobles and other lords, but it's not a diplomatic affair. Yeah, Sylvain agreed. Besides, no one can mess up more than New Year's celebration when Lord Reinhald's mistress showed up. That was good gossip for a long time. Ashe played with the sash on his jacket. I don't know, you guys. Dimitri will miss you if you're not there, Sylvain trilled. Ashe's heart skipped a beat as he hoped his friends didn't see him tense. Would the prince actually notice if he attended? Would he be looking for Ashe among the sea of faces across the ballroom? Would they share a drink? A conversation? A dance? He shook his head. It's a masquerade. His Highness wouldn't notice if I was there, let alone if I wasn't. Ashe took another look at his reflection in the mirror, noticing Felix rolling his eyes in the background. What? He won't. Felix looked unconvinced. He will, he insisted flatly, and Sylvain nodded. Ashe couldn't help but feel like he was on the outside of an inside joke. Whatever Felix and Sylvain thought they saw between him and the prince just wasn't there. Sure, they sometimes chatted outside of the council sessions, and they took that trip to the bakery, but Prince Dimitri was no stranger to royal hospitality. He's friendly enough, but with this being Ashe's first time in the capital, it was just good manners to check in, show him around. The late King Lambert had done similar things for Leonardo and Kristoff. Ashe was nothing special. Looking back into the mirror, the amethysts of the suit sparkled softly in the light. He allowed himself to imagine that maybe he could be something special, like a protagonist in the stories he told Dimitri about. In another life, under different circumstances, Ashe could imagine being born into nobility and never having to struggle to survive or tell his sister no. They'd have everything they'd ever want and more, and they'd share their blessings with the people of their territory. In this life, Ashe would be no stranger to the royal court. He and Prince Dimitri would be good friends, who knew each other well. They would grow up together and grow closer. At his birthday celebration, Ashe and the prince would share a dance, and a kiss. Snapping fingers broke Ashe out of his reverie. Huh? What? Sylvain put his hands down, smirking like he just got away with something. Thought we lost you there, bud. He wiggled his eyebrows. Were you thinking something dirty? Ashe might as well have been sunburned for how warm his face got. Sylvain! He groaned, embarrassed. Sylvain just laughed and gave him a wink. No worries, man. Your secret's safe with me. He looked critically to Ashe and gestured to the suit he was still wearing. Seriously, though, you look amazing in this. Buy it. Come to Dimitri's party with Fee and me. We'll hang out, have some drinks, enough to get Felix to dance with me. Like hell you will. Felix scoffed from the other side of the salon. Sylvain waved him off and continued. Dance with some lovelies, eat our weight in tiny cakes and cocktail wieners. We'll have a good time. What do you say? Ashe looked at his reflection one more time. He had to admit, he looked and felt good in this suit. It's easily the most expensive thing he's ever touched, let alone worn. In fact, dressed like this, hidden behind a mask, no one would believe he was just a commoner, an orphan taken from the streets. He could almost imagine it himself. Almost. Unfortunately, reality was louder than his imagination. He would never be true nobility, no matter what Leonardo said or how his adoption papers were written. He was a nobody playing pretend. Ashe shook his head and sighed, removing the bow tie from his neck. He stepped off the pedestal and made his way back to the dressing room. Thanks, Sylvain, but I'm gonna pass. It's just not my scene. The week of the party arrived quickly, and the entire palace bustled with activity. With all the final preparations needing to be made, Ashe barely saw Dimitri outside of the council room, which was fine by Ashe. If he didn't see the prince, he didn't have to address the fact that he wouldn't be at the party. He hadn't technically been avoiding Dimitri. He just knew the prince was busy and didn't seek him out. Yeah, that's it. On the night of the party, Ashe sat on the ledge seat of his window, looking out towards the palace. The gallant structure was breathtaking on a normal night, but tonight it was especially magnificent. The air around the castle glowed with spotlights, and the sky occasionally sparkled with fireworks. It was a true spectacle, even from a distance. From the street below, the citizens were celebrating as well. Music blared from the local bars and restaurants, and people danced in the streets. After all, it wasn't every day the prince turned 25. Ashe felt himself starting to regret his choice not to attend. Ashe, darling? Ashe startled, turning sharply in his seat, the book in his lap hitting the ground with a thud. Sorry, didn't mean to scare you, Celia said with a coy smile, suggesting she wasn't really sorry. You have a visitor in the study, dear. Oh, all right. Who is it? Still smiling, Celia mimed zipping her lips, and Ashe shot her an exasperated look that said, "Really?" The housemaid laughed and bounded back into the hallway. Sighing, Ashe picked up the book, tossed it onto his bed, and made his way downstairs to the study. His heartbeat clamming as he walked, Ashe racked his brain, trying to think of who would come calling. Leonardo had left for the party almost an hour ago, and as far as Ashe could think, anyone who would come by would be at the palace. He opened the door to the study to greet his guest. "Thank you for your patience, Sylvain!" In the middle of the room, clearly feeling at home, sat Sylvain, dressed to the nines in the charcoal suit from their shopping trip. "Hey, handsome," Sylvain smirked. Ashe ignored the flirtation. "What are you doing here? You should be at Dimitri's party." "And so should you." Sylvain stood, smoothing the non-existent wrinkles from his jacket. "Not to worry, we have plenty of time. That shindig won't really get known for another hour or so." "What do you mean, we?" Ashe asked incredulously. "I already told you, I'm not going." Sylvain grabbed Ashe's shoulders and stared seriously into his eyes. "Ashe, I would be a terrible friend if I let you miss this. This is your first time at court, and you deserve to experience all the glitz and glamour." Ashe turned away from Sylvain's intense stare. "You don't understand," he whispered. I don't belong here." "Look, I won't pretend to know what's running through your mind now, or any time these past few weeks, how unfamiliar this all is. But let me tell you what I do know." He paused. "I've been around nobles my entire life. None of us are perfect and chivalrous like the stories. In fact, some of us are actually pretty terrible. We need to see more people like you. I can't think of anyone who belongs here more than you, Ashe." "I didn't mean—" No, hang on a sec. Let me finish." Sylvain ran his hand through his hair. How he didn't mess up the careful sweep of his curls, Ashe will never know. "What I'm trying to say is that sometimes life deals us a crappy hand, but you get the chance to draw new cards, better cards, and you can win the whole pot. You may never know the odds, but if you don't play, you'll never win." Ashe knew Sylvain was right. After all, hadn't he already gambled and won the jackpot? He and Evelyn were cold and hungry. He picked a noble's house at random. He was caught, charges dismissed, and then adopted into a home where he and his sister would always be warm and full. In comparison, this new gamble was nothing. At best, he went, danced, and had a great time with his friends. At worst, well, all of his previous excuses seemed trivial. However, "But I didn't buy the suit. I don't have anything to wear." A knock at the study door drew their attention, and Sylvain hustled to open it. "Don't worry, Ashe. I took care of everything." He opened the door to reveal an absolutely giddy Celia. She entered carrying a large hanging garment bag. "Ready for the big reveal?" she asked. When Sylvain nodded, she held the hanger in one hand and dramatically unzipped the front of the bag with the other. As the bag fell away, Ashe gasped. It was the suit from the salon. Even in the low light of the study, the amethyst sparkled in waves as Celia and Sylvain moved around. Ashe couldn't believe it. "You bought it?" he asked. "Sylvain, this... How could I ever repay you?" "Just call me your fairy godmother," Sylvain joked. "Seriously, don't worry about it. Now come on, the party of our life awaits." Ashe's eyes shone with a new determination and excitement. "You've got it."